Are you like most sales and other professionals who want to grow their wealth faster than what they are currently doing through their company 401k, even with that company match, the stock market, or just plain saving money? Would you sleep better at night if you had the financial freedom to be job optional in just 3 to 5 years through investing in real assets? Maybe you don't want to stop working, but wouldn't it be cool if you could retire a decade earlier than most? And do the traveling you and your family have planned for years while you're still young and can enjoy it? Let's face it, most busy professionals don't have the time or desire to take on more work outside of their W-2 to grow their wealth. On The Wealth Flow, each week we share the stories, the investments, and take a deep dive into the various asset classes that can deliver that accelerated growth to your portfolio passively. That's right, no extra work for you. Instead, we'll put your money to work. Learn what the 95% aren't talking about and join the top 5% of earners today on The Wealth Flow.
All right, welcome to The Wealth Flow. My guest today is Eric Martel. Eric is an accomplished investor. He actually bought his first apartment building at the age of 18. He is the owner of Martel Turnkey with over 100 multifamily units. It only took 3 years to become financially free and retire for Mike. He sold 85 single-family rentals in 2019 and has over 25 years in project management experience. He also graduated in actual math. I'm probably saying that wrong, but
actuarial math.
Actuarial math. There you go. Yeah. Okay, appreciate that. And then clients get cash flow from day one when investing with them, and he has a book that he published called "Stop Trading Your Time for Your Money." So, Eric, welcome to The Wealth Flow.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you being on. I can't wait to dive into your story. And typically what I'll do is I'll start with your background, where you grew up and what eventually led you to real estate.
Yeah, I grew up basically in near Montreal. And I had, when I was at university, this is where I had what I called my rich dad, poor dad moment. Mm-hmm. So my parents were living paycheck to paycheck, like lower income, kind of middle class family in a small town, all that kind of stuff. And they were, they were missing something. I could tell they were missing something because I was asking them some ideas about businesses or how this work or how this work. And they really didn't understand how money worked, how banking works, how insurance worked, how investing businesses or anything like that worked. And that's so, but I knew there was something that they were missing something. They were missing some information or whatever. And I ended up going to university, and throughout my journey, I met someone, a real estate investor. And then when I met him, I said, okay, well, tell me more about that. He teach me how to invest in real estate. At that time, I was looking at things on TV. They were saying, oh, yeah, you can invest in real estate with no money down and all that kind of stuff. And I was asking him, is that real? Like, can you really do that? And he said, well, yeah, you could. Yeah, it's possible. So I said, okay, well, teach me. And so that's basically what I did. He basically became my mentor, and I analyzed like a lot of properties. I probably analyzed like 500 apartment buildings, smaller apartment buildings, and tried to figure out a way to something that would make sense financially, assuming that the money is going to be borrowed like 100% financing. So that was my assumption, and kind of looking at that, I said, okay, well, there's not that many buildings that where you can do that, where you can do 100% financing. And I managed to find a couple after like weeks of research. And that's when I said, okay, well, one of them has to, so why do I get the money now? So, well, you can get it from the bank, you can get it from seller financing. And that's basically what I ended up getting is a mortgage for 80% of the value of the property. And then 20% actually came as seller financing. So I was able to buy the property, 100% financing, and then, really no money down on my side. And it was still cash flowing. It was an 8-unit apartment building just outside of Montreal. And that was great in one way because I learned that I could do real estate investing without any money, that it was possible to get a cash flowing asset without having, to work and all that kind of stuff. But I also learned that it was a lot of work to get that one property. And the other lesson that I thought I had learned is that it would be a lot easier if I had money. And so I decided to work, as you mentioned, like in actuarial math, which is the math of financial risk. I worked in pension and basically, erased or deleted a whole bunch of company pension plan. And I knew that was, not the right move for the employees. It really shifted the risk of retirement from the employer to the employee. The employer had all the assets, all the resources in order to make the right investment, and they were guaranteeing the retirement, the payment at retirement. When they moved everything into 401k, then it was on the employees really to define, to invest the money. They were at risk for their investment, at risk for lacking contribution. They were at risk for everything. And they're not trained. People are not trained for investing for their retirement. So I knew it was something that would eventually come and become a real crisis. And we are in the middle of that crisis right now. We are already seeing a lot of older people that they don't have enough retirement, and they end up in situations where they have to work as a greeter at Walmart just to make ends meet, or they're, whatever. So I knew this was a problem, and I knew that I had to do something for myself. But I continued to work. I tried to invest in real estate. It was very hard. I was trying to invest in Toronto. I moved to California. I had a ton of IPOs of stock options from an IPO that I was part of. And I had a lot of money on paper. I landed in San Francisco in 2000. And I said, well, I need to diversify. I need to invest in real estate. I have a lot of money now. I can invest in real estate. And so even in the San Francisco Bay Area, I looked around and I said, well, I wanted something that cash flowed. That I'm a strong believer in cash flow. I don't want to buy an asset where I have to go and burn more money towards it every month. So, but in order for something to cash flow in the San Francisco Bay Area at the time, I had to put a big down payment. I had to put more money to reduce the loan amount so that the debt service would not kill the cash flow altogether. And then, so when you do that, then your return on equity or your return on your investment is very low, right? Because now I have a big pile of cash that I put towards that property, and it cash flow, but barely cash flows. And yes, there's an appreciation component, but really the return was 1-2%. So I decided to let's just leave it in the stock market, and then we'll be fine. We'll figure something out. Not 6 months later, we had the .com crash. I was completely wiped out. Not completely, but basically a lot of these options became worthless. I had some stock that I owned still, but it was obviously lower value. Basically lost literally millions of dollars in that .com crash, and I'm smiling. But that really helped focus on what was important, right? I invested in the stock market. I was actually investing quite a bit, spending a lot of time analyzing stocks and portfolios and different industries that I was interested in, and really pick a bunch of stocks that I would follow and be very good, really know a lot about their cycles, and and then would look at their annual reports and all that kind of stuff. I would do all my due diligence before investing in the stock, but that was not enough. I mean, I'm not in control of the company. First of all, I'm not in control of the economy, and the stock market kind of goes its own way depending on the news, depending on what's happened, the way the wind is blowing, and all that kind of stuff. So you're not really in control. You can have a lot of money invested in there. You can be diversified in the stock market, but you're not truly
Mhm.
diversified because you're in one asset class, really, which is the stock market. So again, the importance of kind of diversifying into another asset class, real estate. And so it took a while for me. Like I did all kinds of different businesses, a low carb grocery store, a gourmet sauce company, a couple of other different businesses and stuff like that on Amazon, FBA. And nothing was really kind of, getting the traction that I needed to really say that this generates enough passive income for me to take it easy or quit my other jobs that I was doing and then really focus on that business or that investment. So up until we came back with real estate. So one of my son came to me and said, I want to be a real estate investor. And I said, oh boy, this is going to be, let's talk about, let's see what the plan is and where you want to invest. And basically that we tried to do again, like real estate investing in the San Francisco Bay Area, but very challenging. We were kind of like what we call the small fish in a big pond, where there are much bigger fish and much bigger wallet, and they have tons of money. They don't have to. They just buy $3 million house for cash, and then do the renovations and all of that.
Right.
We can't compete with that. So we had to find another market to do that. And again, we were focused on the passive income. So let's build a passive income portfolio of single family rentals. But where are we going to do that? Let's find the best market. Instead of looking in our backyard for these assets, let's look at where these assets are in, where can we find these assets? Which state, which city? And so we analyzed a bunch of states, a bunch of cities, landlord-friendly states, good low unemployment, business diversification, fairly slow growth, and all that kind of stuff. And we came up with about 5 different markets that we really liked, and we started investing. The first house we bought was in Memphis, Tennessee, and we bought it. Talked to the team on the ground, renovated it, and all that kind of stuff. And then we're able to rent it and refinance it. And on the refinance, I was able to get all my money out, all the money that I had invested. Plus, I had an extra $7,000 in my pocket after refinancing because the value of the property
Great.
increased much. I was able to get 80% of the value after the seasoning period. And then it basically gave me more money than I had when I started. I had more money than I had when I started, and I had an asset that was cash flowing $200 a month. I was like, okay, well, that's a no-brainer. Let's do 2 more of those. And so that's kind of how we got started. And initially, we got started just for us. Initially, it was called Martel Family Realty. And but as we were growing and building our portfolio, a lot of people were asking us and asking me, kind of like, what am I doing? Like, what because we've done so many different businesses. They were kind of like, what are you guys doing? Like, oh, well, we're investing in single family rentals in Memphis and Cleveland and Detroit. And our friends were like, what? You're investing in what? In single family rental in Memphis? Are you crazy? Like, what's going on here? And but out of that craziness came that eventually people became more curious and say, well, tell me more about that. Like, why should I invest there? Well, the house is going to be this price. This is the rent. This is all of that. And we kind of talked to them about that. And a lot of them were interested in investing with us. A lot of them were interested in actually buying the finished products. After we were done with the renovation, after we found a tenant for them, we sold the house and we said, okay, well, you get the house. Here's the property manager. And there you go. You're done. We make money on the spread, and then we're good. And this is when we realized that, hey, this is a business here. And then Martel Turnkey was launched at that point. After a few months, I think things went very well, and then we kind of promoted. We redid the whole website. We posted a lot of the properties that we had in our portfolio to get things going and all that kind of stuff. And So things were going pretty well. And we I think the first year we sold like 4 or 5 houses. And then we kind of like doubled every year after that. And like last year in 2023, 2022, we sold like, I think we sold like about over 200 houses per year in the markets that we were in. So things were going pretty well. And so that was kind of like the Martel turnkey things. And things were going so well that I sold my house, my primary residence, to really double down. I had a lot of equity in my house, and I said, okay, well, I need to get that equity working for me, and sold my house, took the equity, and then bought a whole bunch of single family rentals and an apartment building. And then that's basically, at that point, I was financially free, because what I invested in, my equity that was invested, basically covered my rent for the new house that I was renting. And then all my living expenses. So I became financially free.
Wow, that's incredible. And tell me a little bit more about, are you still doing the turnkey? You kind of originally were buying these and putting a renter in them, doing kind of a BRRRR method, if you will, where you're refinancing it once you get the renter in. But and it sounds like on at least that first one, you were able to pull out not only all your initial investment, but also a little bit of extra. And that gave you some seed money to put into the next one. Eventually people see you doing this and say, hey, what are you guys doing over there? And decide they want to invest as well. Tell me a little bit about kind of how that grew. Is it always been in the Memphis area, or you mentioned a couple different states that you guys focused on? What are the states that you're currently focused on with that?
So we're in Memphis. Actually, if you ask me right now, we're not so much in Memphis, but that's, even though that's where we started. And Memphis, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Dayton, Akron. These are all in Ohio. And then we have Detroit, just outside Detroit. And then we also have St. Louis, Missouri. So these are the big markets right now where a lot of the flips. And you're absolutely right. A lot of the people that were buying the turnkey from us, they were asking questions and said, well, how do I invest like you guys? Like, you're giving me the property when it's renovated, when it's rented, and you're kind of, this is all great. This is real turnkey. But what if I want to get my hands dirty a little bit? What if I want to find a distressed property and all that kind of stuff? And so this is when Flip System was launched. So this is the new company that we started last year, and Flip System basically helps anyone to become a real estate investor. So the typical programs out there for real estate investing, we had done like the online training. So everybody does the online training, but it's you need more than that. The online training is not enough. Reading the books, as you mentioned, like I wrote a book as well. My book has everything in there. Stop Trading Your Time for Money has everything in there to get you started and do real estate investing. But I don't know, people don't read books, or they just, it's too, you need to have more than that. You need to have more discipline. You need to make sure you're organized, you're dedicated, and you are encouraged along the way to continue, because it's difficult. Like even the first house, the apartment building that I bought, a lot of people would have given up after analyzing like 50 houses, 50 apartment buildings. And my realtor, when I was young, was telling me, you won't be able to find what you're looking for. He kept telling me that I would not find the property that I was looking for that was meeting my criteria. And when you hear some people, they listen to that and they stop looking. But I was young and foolish, so I continued on. But I did find eventually the properties that I was looking for. And it's kind of the same thing. There's a lot of effort. There's a lot of effort in building the team and all that kind of stuff. So when we launched Flip System, we even before Flip System, we did like the online training, and that very little success. The book, people read the book, but I don't know if they were successful at investing in real estate. So that is an unknown. Then we did mentorship. I was so focused. I was so certain that mentorship would work because it worked for me. When I bought my apartment building when I was young, I had a mentor, and the mentor basically said, no, keep going, keep analyzing property. Don't listen to your realtor. And no, you'll find that. Don't worry about the money. Don't worry about this. Keep going. You're doing it right. And this encouragement really helped me kind of, find the property. Otherwise, most people would have given up. So I was very certain that the mentorship would be instrumental to the success of an individual. So we would tell, and that's what we did. We spent some time with them. I said, okay, well, this is what you need to do. Like, these are the markets that are good. This is what you need to do. You need to call 100, 200 realtors, property managers, all of that, and try to find a realtor that is investor friendly, blah, blah, blah. This is what you tell them. And people would stop after 20 calls and say, well, this is like, I haven't found anybody yet. It's like, I said, you continue until you find someone. There is someone, but people give up. People give up. And so we said, okay, that's not enough. And this is where we said, what else do we need to do to make people successful with real estate investing? And this is where Flip System comes in. So we have the online training, the coaching. You have access to the acquisitions team. So the same team that we're using for Martel Turnkey to find properties, you have access to that. They analyze the deals, and then they say, well, this deal looks pretty good on the surface. Move forward with that. Then the big one is we connect you with the team on the ground. So we're vetting teams. That means the realtor, property manager, contractors. So we're vetting them. And once you're assigned to a market, let's say you're assigned somewhere in Detroit, then you're going to be working with that realtor, that property manager to renovate your property, to, find a tenant and all that kind of stuff. We connect you with all the other resources that you need around that. So if you need a hard money lender, if you need insurance, if you need CPA, if you need a lawyer, if you need, all these resources, we make them available to our customers. And then, so then you continue on. You have access to a community. So the community is basically all kinds of real estate investors just like yourself. And then you can share your experience, ask questions, answer questions. We also have an application, the portal, that has the basically the what we call the property tracking system, where you can analyze all your properties, see what the returns are, and you can tweak all your numbers for your returns on the flip, for your returns if you decide to refinance instead of flipping. What does it look like for the buyer's perspective, the person that's going to buy the rental from you? What does it look like in terms of their cap rate and all that kind of stuff? And then we can also connect you with people to sell your property, to list your property. So there's a bunch of other people, but we have like five different groups of people that can sell your properties for you or help you, including the ability for our customers to list on the Martel Turnkey website. So where we have access like to 15,000 investors, we send them an email saying, hey, this property is for sale, and all that kind of stuff. So now, when we were doing just the mentorship and online training, the success rate, about at 5% of them actually did a deal, 5%. And now we have all of our students, on average, our students have a deal under construction that's been signed and they're closed on within 60 days of working with us. So that means, and in 60 days, there's no way you can build a team find the market, team on the ground, analyze deals and all of that, and have a deal in the pocket closed that you can work on. So that's highly successful. So all our, I think 95% of our customers, let's say 90% of our customers are able to do this within the first 60 days. So that's that's a high success rate from our perspective.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's great. And tell me a little bit more about the markets that you're focused on. What about the Ohio market do you like? What are some of the things that you're looking for when you're seeing something that could fit this model?
Yeah. For me, I'm looking for landlord friendly states. And then in the city, I'm looking for business diversification. I'm looking for low unemployment. I'm looking for kind of like a low, I would say low, slow growth. I'm not looking for cities that have like an explosive growth, like 5% or 6% or low or very high migration rate in or out. So I want a sleepy town, something that's not going to not going to cause any big waves. Little ripples are okay, but no big waves. Then we look at house affordability. So a lot of people, they even though they have a good job and all that kind of stuff, the houses are not affordable enough. So that caused like a good a rental market. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at. And then when we're looking at the diving down into the neighborhoods, then we're looking at low crime. We're looking at B and C class kind of neighborhood. So this is where kind of you would have like supervisor to individual contributor or workers, manual workers that would be there. They have decent job, good jobs, but yeah, they're not working class kind of housing.
Okay. And from a rental standpoint, like from what on average you're buying these for, I know they're going to vary depending on how many bedrooms and everything, but about what price range are they compared to how they're renting, what dollar amounts they can bring in on rent.
Yeah, so the houses that we buy are very, very similar from one another. In fact, some people were complaining that they're too similar. To say, why am I looking at all these houses? They look the same. I said, that's the point. So you know exactly what to expect.
Right.
You want it to be cookie cutter, and then so that way you know exactly what to buy. You know what the value is going to be when you sell because you've sold 3 more earlier this year, and the contractor knows exactly what to do and what to expect. So typically we're looking for like depending on the market, some markets, they're more into like the 2-1s or 3-1s, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, like Detroit. In the Cleveland area, then you would get more like the 2-1, 3-2s. Normally around 1,000 square feet. And we can normally get these around 70,000, $80,000. And then puts about $20,000-$30,000 in renovations. And then be able to sell them for a profit of about $15,000.
Okay, nice. And so are most of your students selling them? Is that the exit plan, or are they putting a renter in and doing a, cash out refinance to be able to reinvest the money in something new, but holding on to those? What's the typical strategy?
Currently, for most of them, the strategy is to get their money out, so that they want to build the capital so that they can go and roll some more houses. But the advantage of our system is that when you enter the property, the information about the property, you see the 2 exit strategies. One of them is, if I flip it, what would be my return? I can also look at, what if I refinance it? What's my return on refinance, and how much money am I going to leave in the deal? If I refinance, because most cases you're going to have to leave a little bit of money in the deal. Every once in a while, you're going to find a unicorn where you get money back. You're just going to have a negative amount in there, or you're going to leave just a little bit, maybe $5,000, and then you have a decision to make. You say, well, maybe I just want to refinance, and then leave $5,000 in there, and it's going to cash flow $200. So, but most people right now, they are focused on flipping.
Okay. Makes sense. And your system helps them to be able to find those potential sellers as well. You mentioned realtors. Do you guys do any type of direct contact to the owner?
Direct contact to the owner in terms of like trying to find off-market deals, you mean?
Exactly, like direct mail, reaching out to distressed owners, probates, that kind of stuff.
No, we don't. We don't do any of that. So this is we might do that in the future, but right now a lot of the deals that we're getting, they're off-market deals from wholesalers or from pocket deals from
Okay.
the realtor themselves. But still, we get a lot of deals from MLS, and we get very
Okay.
good success from MLS. But you have to act quickly, and this is the advantage with Flip System. We have a direct feed from MLS. So we don't have to wait for Redfin or Zillow to show the property. So it gets fed
Yeah.
right from MLS into our system, and then it's gonna show up in the property marketplace, and then people can go and analyze deals right there.
Okay. And then Eric, what are you seeing in the market right now? We have I currently have a flip that we're selling, and it's sitting on the market a little longer than I'd like it to, but I think we're getting close. But just curious, have you seen any difference now that rates are up a little bit? I guess they're down just a tad from where they were, but are you seeing anything slower as far as days on the market?
Well, if I compare to last year, definitely last year or the year before, definitely a big
Right.
difference. So definitely slowed down. It also reduced obviously the cash flow because your debt service is is a little bit higher because of the
Higher, yeah.
interest rate. I mean, some of the recommendations is, to me, is to look at maybe adjustable rate mortgage. You may be able to save like half a
Mhm.
point or even a point from the fixed rate mortgage. So that could be something. And because I'm expecting anyway that the rate is going to go down in the next. And I'm not as optimistic as other people. A lot of people think the rate is going to go down this year by 2 or 3%, or it's going to go back to where it was in 2020. I don't think so. I think it might
Yeah.
go down maybe half a point, something like that. But yeah, I don't see any big changes. So people need to adjust to the new reality, and that
Yeah.
these rates are going to be around that. It may go down a little bit, but it might go up a little bit also. I think around 7%. We're at the right spot right now in terms of mortgage rate. If you look at what is that, like a 50-year average mortgage rate or even 75-year average mortgage rate, I think it's 7.75. So we're
Right.
right there. It's kind of like the average rate. But of course, a lot of people forget about that since 2010. Like you have 10 years of low interest rate, then you forget that. Say, oh, this is normal. This is like so.
Yeah.
I don't big decrease right now. And if we have a big decrease, that means we're in trouble. There's another trouble, either a big recession coming, or so. I,
Exactly.
yeah. So it's good that the interest rates are high.
Yeah, exactly. And as you mentioned, I mean, they're really not that far out of line from the averages. I can remember my first house, and the rate was right at about 8%. And at that time, I was thinking that was a decent rate. So, I mean, it hasn't. Has been low, and it's given people a different perceived value of what an interest rate should be, and so there's an adjustment there. But if a deal works and makes sense at these rates, then it can only get better if rates do in fact come down. So
Yeah. My first home, my interest rate was 15%. That was my mortgage rate.
wow, yeah,
So, and I was fine. Like I didn't think twice about it. I thought, yeah, 15. Okay, that's a high rate, obviously, but we're gonna put a little bit more down payment, and then it's gonna appreciate. And see, we survived. So yeah,
right, exactly. Yeah. If the payment makes sense, even if if the rate looks larger, as long as the payment makes sense. then it works. So are all of what you're buying and your students are buying, are they single family? Or are you doing some that are like small multifamily, or what's kind of the makeup there?
So it's very rare that we find something that's going to be 2 or 3 or 4 plex. So most of them are single family
Okay.
rentals. Every once in a while, we're going to have like a duplex or a triplex. We do some in the Chicago area, so we have more like duplex and triplex in that area. I know I didn't really mention it earlier because of the markets that we're in, because it's um, most of our students are not in that market. But yeah, so it doesn't have the nice thing about the single family rental. I mean, if you get the duplex and triplex, that's great, but I certainly would not wait or base a strategy on getting duplex and triplex, because they're hard to find and it takes a long time to find them. The nice thing about the single family rentals from my perspective is very easy to get in, get ramped up, and then kind of like, now you get 1, you get 2, you get 3, you sell 1, you buy 2, it's a lot more flexible than if you go into the bigger ones, or the multifamily, like the 6-plex and 10 apartment buildings and stuff like that. That tends to be a little bit harder to find a deal, harder to find. Everything is harder at that. I mean, it would be a nice progression for someone, but I think for the people that we're dealing with, our customers, I think it's much better for them to get started with single family rental. And I think anybody that wants to get started in single family in real estate investing, that would be a good starting point.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's neat that you've got a community. You mentioned kind of the community factor, but somebody that's coming in and looking to invest, and they're a new investor. It's one thing to go out there and just try to do all this on your own. It's another thing if you've got the instruction and the mentorship of Eric and in his team, and then also just having other investors that are out there actively doing the same thing that you're trying to do, and you get to share stories with one another in trials and tribulations and successes, and it just makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah. Absolutely. So a couple of things. So we also have like on the community. So you have we have discussion groups and stuff like that. People can go in the application and then in the portal, and they can text to the group and hear stories, as you mentioned. One of the things is that when you get started in real estate investing, if you're a 9 to 5, you work full time, and you talk to your coworkers and you say, "Hey, I'm investing in single family rentals in Memphis or Cleveland or Detroit." People's head are going to be like, "What? Like, what are you, like, why are you doing that? Like, why don't you invest in the backyard? Or why don't you do this, do that?" And so once you're part of the community, you have a different tribe that you can talk to about the strategy that we're using, and you feel you're more part of that. People understand what you're saying, why you're doing this. Talking to people that are at work that haven't invested in real estate at all, you're gonna sound a little bit crazy. And when you sell your house to invest in real estate, then they just think you're insane, absolutely insane. So
Right.
I'm the one having fun now. So that's one aspect of it. We also have like a daily coaching call. So we have like every day we have like a coaching call with anybody that any of our customers that have questions. They're at different stage in the deal. They want to share experiences, all of that. So we have tons of these calls. Again, it's really helpful to hear other people, where they are, what kind of problems they're facing sometimes, what kind of solutions they've implemented, ideas, and all that kind of stuff. So we really like that. Because the other thing too that
I was just going to say, you also get to pull everybody's experiences together, right? So, I mean, there's something that somebody's currently going through that somebody else just went through, and so being able to share and help somebody by just sharing your story, I think goes a long way. So
yeah. Yeah, and we're seeing that right now. I mean, we have customers that have done like 5 or 6 deals already, and then they're helping other customers, they're answering their questions. So, oh no, you can actually do that, and we didn't even know, you know. So that's kind of interesting to see that dynamic of that. And uh, the other advantage of the community also is that when you're working 9 to 5, you're working full time, you're a full time employee. It's a different mindset. Now you starting a business, and it's really a different mindset. And what happens is that you have this curve where you start like kind of like an upward curve, and you kind of it's kind of like the 4 stages of entrepreneurship. And then the first is kind of like you are kind of semi-informed. I wouldn't say necessarily uninformed, but you're relatively uninformed. But you're very optimistic because now you've
Yeah.
joined the program. Things are doing great. Everything is perfect. You do the training, you do the online training and all that kind of stuff. But then you go and you start coming to the other side of this. And then you're more informed about, because now you're looking at a real deal. You're talking to the realtor, you're talking to the contractor, and then it's getting real. It's a little bit different now. You say, well, why is he charging me, $500 for a light switch? And why is he doing this? And why is he doing that? And you question everything. So you kind of end up you're more informed, but now you're starting to be more pessimistic about your your entrepreneurial spirit and it continues as
Right.
as the thing happens, and you're just like, oh my God, this is way more complicated than I thought, and blah blah blah, but there's another side to this. I mean, you have to pass through this crisis mode or this pivot point, and then when you go into the other side, then this is when you're informed, but you're also optimistic, and that the community is really helping you kind of like go through that crisis or that pivot point, because you can see other people that have struggled also for their deals. Nobody goes into a deal and say it's $25,000 for the rehab, and then they get a bill for $25,000 at the end. I mean, it happens, but but every once in a while there's like a change, there's a delay, there's like, so nothing is 100% perfect. So again, the community kind of helps smooth that curve, helps you go through that pivot point. And then after you go to the other side, then you're ready to go for the next, and you've learned something. You've truly learned that skill at that point. But you haven't learned it until you've gone through it.
For sure. And I guess, Eric, also tell me a little bit about your own portfolio right now. What does your portfolio look like? Do you have any that you've held on to, or has it all been ones that you've sold kind of along the way?
So I've sold the majority of them. I have like an apartment building right now in Midtown Memphis. And then I have about like 20 other properties, 20 other single family rentals in all these different markets. And so that's a pretty good thing right now. We could increase. We were starting to, we've changed our focus a little bit for flip system, to move to flip system. And then once flip system gets rolled, kind of like gets rolling, then we're going to ramp up the investment a little bit on the Martel turnkey side. Because right now, a lot of the deals that are coming from, that are listed on Martel turnkey, they're actually flip system customers projects that are there. So we want to make sure that there's enough, there's not too many properties on Martel turnkey, and that our customers are able to sell the properties easily.
Yeah, makes sense. What about your students? Where are your students coming from? How are they? Are they in those same areas that are investing in, or are they all over the country? What does that look like?
Yeah, they're mainly on the coasts. So you can think of California, Oregon, Washington State. And then you're looking at on the East Coast, you're looking at New York, New Jersey, with few in Florida. Yeah. So the coast, because
Okay.
these areas are very expensive. It's very hard. If you're a cash flow investor, you can't find good deals in these markets. So you have to look out of state. And then when you're looking out of state, it's difficult to build the infrastructure, the team to be successful. It's not impossible, but it's just a lot of. So I'd rather, for me, like if there was a company like Flip System when I got started, I would have paid for that for sure. Instead I paid for another program, and then for my kids and I to get trained on, and then that was about basically investing in your backyard, but there was nothing in our backyard that we could invest in.
Right. Okay. And then what about on financing? You had mentioned kind of helping with financing, or at least lining up different folks. If you have a project that you're going to need to put some money into, what type of financing are you able to get right now? How much will they lend towards the price? I guess the after repaired value. And about what are the rates look like?
Mm-hmm. So right now, the rates that we're getting from our hard money lenders is 80% of the purchase price and 100% of the repair cost, and 12% 2 points.
Okay. Yeah, that seems reasonable in this kind of current environment that we're in. And just the fact that they do 100% of the repairs, that's pretty impressive as well. And you're really only having to come in with 80%, so or 20% rather. So that's great.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Very interesting.
I would say it's not like what it used to be, but for us, like for Martel Turnkey, we never used money lenders, so we only use private money lenders. And this is what we're coaching our customers, also our students, is that, this is really what you want to build. You want to build the private money lenders. You want to build a network of people that are going to invest in you and in your business. And you get started with your first property. You market that to everybody you know and say, hey, I'm selling this property. And then to all your friends, everybody that you know, and then they're going to say, hey, I didn't know you were a real estate investor. Tell me more about that. Why are you investing in Cleveland? All of that. And that's a different discussion. And then eventually, that's what happened to us. Like we had lots of people that, friends of ours, they say, I want to invest with you. I have all this money that is sitting at the bank. I'd rather invest it with you. That's how we rolled and were able to do well. And that private money lender, that private money loan is a lot more flexible than a hard money loan, because we would roll over that private money loan from property to property, and worked out very good.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Well, Eric, if you can tell the audience, where they can find out more about you, if they'd like to get involved with your mentorship and with the company that you have, where can they find you?
So you can go on flipsystem.com, and you can look at the website there. And there's also offers at flipsystem.com where you can actually go and book a call with one of our advisors. And then they're going to tell you all about the program and see if it's a good fit for what you're trying to do. And you can find me anywhere on social media on Eric Martel Official. So anything social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. I have a YouTube channel also. So under Eric Martel Official.
Okay, sounds good. And on that same website that you were referring to earlier, do they have turnkey deals? If you have maybe somebody that's an investor but wants to buy something after it's already been completed?
So that would be martelturnkey.com. So we have quite a few deals there. I think we have like 10 or 15 deals right now. We're one of the few actually that have inventory. So yeah, and that's because we have all these. We have like 500 students, so that are investing. So there's a lot of power behind that. So
Yeah, for sure. That's great. No, this has been really good. I appreciate it, Eric. And I got two more questions for you. If you have just another minute, and one of those sounds like it'd be right up, right up your alley with what you do with your students. But if you have somebody that's maybe just starting their investment career or their investment journey, what advice would that be?
So I think that for me it would be to take action. So that's the one thing. A lot of people are reluctant to take action, and it's something that I've learned. I've had lots of different businesses. My sons too. They saw us do all kinds of in different investment, like I mentioned, like low carb grocery store, gourmet sauce company. We had catering. We did all kinds of stuff. We never lost money in anything. We lost time. We spent a lot of time doing those.
Right. Yeah.
But we never, we structured every business properly and all that kind of stuff. And but we learned in every business that we did. And we could have sat on the sideline and say, "Oh yeah, well, I don't know. That sounds very hard to do that." And no, you need to take action. You need to do something, and it's going to be no matter what, even if it's not exactly what you hope for. I think you're going to learn. It's a great learning lesson, and this is why we're on this planet for, is to explore all our possibilities. I think so. Take action.
Yeah.
Is my number one.
Yeah. I think that's great advice for sure. And I see that a lot as well. A lot of times people get into the education piece of it. They get into looking at everything, but at the end of the day, really diving in, there's never going to be a perfect time, never going to be a perfect deal. And obviously you want to be smart about it, but moving into a deal gives you that, that basis for your next one. And, you can kind of keep building on it from there. What about, Eric, a book recommendation? Anything you've read recently that has been impactful? Obviously, we want the audience to go out and get Stop Trading Your Time for Money. Sounds like a great book. I'll definitely pick that up after the show here. But tell us if there's anything else that you've read recently that's been impactful.
Yeah, there are a lot of books that I really enjoyed. I think one of them is "What Got You Here Won't Get You There." I think this is one of the books that I really like, because it's about a lot of the people that I talk to. They're in a transition point, right? They are at they're working full time. They have, let's say, they're 55 or something like that. Their kids are still at university, or they're back from university, they're living on their own or whatever. And at that point, you're kind of like the top of your career, and then you may be looking for something else to do. And so what got you here won't get you there is kind of like this. It's like now you've learned a lot of skills, a lot of things, and you're at the top of your career, and whatever you're doing, you have a lot of responsibilities, you're making most money. But this is also the meaning that you're also going to come down. It's going to be hard for you to find another job. It's going to be hard for you to be promoted to a higher level. And, your income is probably going to go down. You might be looking for something else to do, including real estate investing or starting a business or franchise or whatever. And that book is about how do you transition over? How do you identify the new skills that you need, and then realize that, yeah, you were successful with a lot of the skills. You get a lot of good skills, but you need additional skills to be successful in this new venture, new business that you're planning to do. So that's one book that I like that not many people talk about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, not many people have recommended that one. I've seen it. I haven't. I don't think I've read that one. So again, I'll have to put that one on my list as well. So, well, Eric, I've really enjoyed our time together here today, and I really appreciate you being on the Wealth Flow, and can't thank you enough for being a guest on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Being that you're still here, I trust you found value in this episode. I personally wish I would have known these guests and strategies when I started my wealth creation journey. Go to wealthflow.capital to subscribe to our newsletter. And as a free gift, we will send you our quarterly market report and the top 10 things to look for in an investment opportunity. Take a minute to give our show a rating and review. Help us reach 1 million professionals by subscribing and sharing this episode with someone you know who could also find value in it.